acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people in the Robin Huron Treaty Area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Dokis First Nation. While we meet today on in-person and virtual platforms, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people and call this land home. And with that, I'd like to have a look at your agenda, and I need a resolution to adopt the agenda. By Randy and by Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. As we used to do, if you recall, councillors, once a month, the Deputy Mayor would lead the council meeting. We used to do this during the Committee of the Whole. Since we don't have the Committee of the Whole, I think it's still excellent training for the Deputy Mayor to learn how to conduct a meeting. So I am going to turn over the gavel over to you, Madam Deputy Mayor. So it's your meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will start with Delegations 6.1. There's a petition to the municipality to undertake the upgrade of the private portion of Lafreniere Road as a local improvement. We have a presentation of the petition to council by Trout Lake East Road Fund, and I believe Kevin Stacy and Don Fukunin are going to be making a presentation to us.
Both Don and I are here, yes. May we start?
Yes, I believe you may start.
Thank you. So, we just gotta find it. Having a little technical issue, was working a second ago. Share screen. Can you see it?
We can see it. You're good.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, and municipal staff. My name is Kevin Stacy, and with me is Don Panukin, who is the chairperson of our road fund. And they asked for a presenter, but you got me, so we'll go along with that. So, as it was stated, this is a submission of petition to the council of the municipality of French River to upgrade and maintain the private portion of Lafreniere Road. So, and for clarity, we just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. We're talking about where the road begins at the school bus turnaround, which is the westerly limit of the road. It becomes private from there, extending 4.5 kilometers to the snowplow turnaround at the end of the private road, and this distance has been confirmed. So, some history. For the past 4+ decades, the road's been maintained by the residents. It started out as a camp road. It was built with the means at hand and a lot of time and effort by the residents. And it started off as a very rough road. TURF, as we call it, the Trout Lake East Road Fund, was created as a means of getting money to keep the road in good condition and to start getting it in a position where it became a much more easily traveled road. The residents on the road contributed based on, it was voluntary, and they contributed funds annually and have done so over the duration of the road. The residents on the road committed time and equipment over the years to maintain the road, and so because of this, the road has become better and better to others in their base taxes, but, you know, that's history. So let's honor the past and kind of go forward. Times are changing for us. It's a little more difficult for us to maintain the road, both because the demographic of our road is we are an aging population. We do have some new blood, but the new blood comes with all sorts of responsibilities that may not be directly to the road. They have families, small families, and stuff like that. So we also no longer have the goodwill gestures of having equipment to be lent out or used, or personal equipment is no longer a possibility. And the cost to maintain the road has increased significantly because of that. We're now using contractors to do the road. So the discussion was, a while back, I had a discussion with both Mark and Melanie regarding, is it a possibility for the municipality to be involved in taking over our road? And we've learned that there were special policies in place to make this, and so we requested a number, a budgetary number for us to work with to be able to talk to the residents of the road. So in 2020, we were provided these numbers, and this is what we're working off of going forward and how we created the petition. The petition was created and was presented to the individuals that are, we'll call them title holders, and anybody that's benefiting or abutting Lafreniere Road. And the three main details were that the cost would be distributed equally across owned land parcels. We wouldn't exceed $13.75 a year, and the duration of payback would be 25 years. With that being said, the results of our petition were we had a total of 40 title holders. 35 of them supported the petition, which is 87.5%. The properties owned by these 35 title holders represent 88.2% of the total assessed value. We had 4 title holders that were not in support, and we have 1 title holder that's still yet to be contacted. They live in the States. We have tried phoning, texting, emailing, and letters and registered letters, and have yet to even get the letters there. We've tracked the letters, and it's still stuck somewhere in Albuquerque. Who knows? And all of this information is now held by Melanie as the clerk. She has our information. So our next step was to take our petition to council. So, did we meet the criterion? Well, based on the seasonal private roads and special capital improvement policy, we have 2/3 of our title holders voted in favor. The favorable votes exceeded 50% of the assessed value. We made the decision amongst ourselves to distribute the cost equally. And we have a minimum of 1.5 million assessed value per kilometer of road to be upgraded. Where we failed to meet the criterion is it requests a 10-year payback, and we need 8+ residences per kilometer of road in order to meet that criteria. But we also read within the petition that council may consider petitions that do not meet the above criterion when the council's opinion, special or extenuating circumstances warrant consideration. So with that, we're now coming to council for council's help. We're asking council to allow us the opportunity to have a 25-year payback. We're hoping that we can get an exception to the one other criterion, which is the number of residences per kilometer, and asking for a vote in favor to pass a resolution to deem it received, which will help us go along the process of going forward. Recognizing that the cost to the municipality will be negligible because we, as the title holders, will be funding this with the the assistance of the municipality over time. And for us, we see this as a way for us to provide ongoing service to the residents now and in the future. And it also takes away that task of maintaining the road. So with that, that is our presentation. We thank you very much for your consideration, and we're available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Does anybody have questions, or should we open this first, Mel? Or does anybody have questions for Kevin? Madam Mayor?
Not for Kevin, but perhaps either Mel or Mark can take council through the process, because this is my first time too for that. I'm sure it's not your first time, Dean, there, but for the rest of us, it's our first time to go through a petition. Oh, and Kevin, can you take your screen off, your presentation off?
Ken?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Mel or Mark?
Either or. You've seen a nice pack in your package of the agenda explaining the process and the next steps going forward. And I'm assuming that's what you're asking, Madam Mayor?
Yes, it's more for the public,
Okay.
because again, the public is watching, so I want to make sure people understand.
I won't pretend to know it all by heart. I have a good memory, but it's short. And I don't even have my reading glasses. Mel, would you like to?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will take over the report, Mark. Can everybody hear me? So the process starts with a petition from the residents. It goes into, so once the clerk verifies the petition for accuracy and for sufficiency as per the Act, then council can adopt a so once the clerk is directed to prepare the local improvement charges bylaw, then that is brought up to council. But prior to that bylaw being considered by council, we have to give notice to the residents that have signed the petition or who were eligible to sign the petition, giving them notice that council will be considering the charges bylaw. So the charges bylaw just gives it affirms that council is willing to take this project on as a local improvement charge. It provides for the estimates of the cost and the estimates of the interest or everything that encompasses the project under the local improvement charge. Once that is considered by council and adopted, then staff takes over the project implementation. So that could be, it could be a very wide project depending on the status of the road. We have to determine the status of the road to see if it's on Crown, if it's on private property, to satisfy the need to acquire the title. We need to hire a Ontario land surveyor to have it surveyed to determine the boundary of the road. We deal with the long-term financing, so that would be the treasurer. So once that is completed and we have a good idea of what the estimates are or what the final costs will be, then we follow through the project. Once the project is, or the works is completed, and we have all the final costs, then the treasurer completes, it's called a roll, a local improvement roll that includes all the final costs. And then we give notice to all the residents that are going to be part of the project, the final cost of the project and what is going to be. So before council can adopt the bylaw that will direct staff to charge those amounts to the rolls, we have to give notice to the residents that are going to be charged those levies. So it gives them a chance to, what's the word? To object to those costs. If there's no objection, then council goes through with adopting the final bylaw to allow the treasurer to charge those costs. And then those charges are, or those costs are charged as per what council agreed on for the timing, for the duration of the payments. So the residents are asking for 25 years, so council needs to determine if that's, if it's permissible or if council allows it. Our policy says 10 years, but the act says that the loan can't go beyond the life expectancy of the project or of the asset. I think that encompasses everything. Are there any questions on the process, or did I miss anything?
I think we'll let Dean speak first, and then Madam Mayor.
What happens if people object when they get that final amount? Anything?
The objection has to have merit. So it's similar. I know you've been part of a drainage assessment revision. So the resident who is objecting has to have a good reason why he shouldn't be charged the same amount as another owner. So council also has the ability to do that. So if council deems that one resident doesn't benefit as much as another one, council has the ability to reduce those, the final cost to that property. So if that property owner still objects to that charge, then they would have to present their findings or their reasons why they shouldn't be charged that amount, that specific amount. So similar to a drainage revision.
One sort of an addendum to that
But
question.
council's decision is final.
Would it be possible, or what would happen if one of those people on the road that had objected right to begin with then gets his bill and says, I'm going to sue over this? Would they be able to sue council over this?
Not to my knowledge. This is through the act, and
The process is clearly demonstrated through the Ontario regulation in the Municipal Act in terms of land.
It permits us to do
It
this.
permits us to do this, yes.
Okay,
And
thank
it's,
you.
I think the group did a great job in soliciting the proper numbers in terms of the 2/3 votes
Yeah.
and the plus 50% assessment, so. Never say never, though.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Madam Mayor.
So tonight, we're voting to accept the petition and to give direction to staff to start working on this project to get the final numbers before it comes back to us through a bylaw for final acceptance. Is that correct?
yes, Madam Mayor, that is correct. So the resolution that we have prepared is just to officially receive the petition and to allow me to verify the petition for its sufficiency and to certify it. Once that is complete, then we can prepare the notice and the bylaw to be adopted by council to officially confirm that council is interested in going forward with the project as a local improvement.
Okay.
Through you,
Mark?
Madam Chair, just for the public's information, in case they missed it, this whole project, yes, it would be long-term finance, and the municipality will do the legwork in getting that set up, but the full loan is repayable, including interest, by the property owners of the project.
Okay, thank you. First I have Councillor Randy, and then you can go after that, Councillor Dean.
So through you, Madam Chair, just a quick question about the $1,300 and some odd dollars that were proposed. Is that at the 25 or the 10-year?
That is at the 25-year.
That's at the 25. So we've set out a budget of $600,000 plus dollars. Now, if this comes in at $1 million, that 1,300 climbs exponentially. So we determine the final cost at the end of the project, and then it becomes impossible for the person to take on the debt load because we can't extend past the 25-year period. What happens at that point when we're into such an extreme amount potentially? I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen because we are pretty good at factoring things. But if we run into something environmental and the cost jumps, what do we do then when the citizen can't take on that debt load?
That is a great question. So the estimate was prepared to encompass all emergency or all unexpected costs.
If I'll jump in now.
Okay, go.
So our public works manager went and visited the road and brought and estimated the cost based on the 2020 costing in terms of bringing the road to a municipal standard, which includes widening the road, which includes good granular base, doing the turnaround, and also estimated through a consultation with the land surveyors what the cost of the land surveying would be. So that being said, that was in 2020. We still will need to confirm 2021 dollars and moving forward. And at one point, we'll have to go back to the group as per the bylaws in terms of the notice of pricing to see where we stand at that point and have the discussion at that point. So the one thing is once council approves by bylaw the cost of the project, and if for some unforeseen reason, and we also had put some contingency plans within those price assessments as well. Once council adopts it officially by bylaw, what the final costing of the project will be, you can't charge above what you've settled on. If the price comes in lower, then the savings are passed on to the landowners. If it goes any higher for some reason, after you've done all of your proper assessments, then the overages falls on the municipality because we are the one sort of project manager.
Just to touch on that then. So then the citizens won't come with a higher bill than agreed upon at the final reading. Basically, what it is, and the municipality will then pick up the extra cost. So there might be an additional cost to us.
There could be, but there's still an opportunity, Councillor, to revise those numbers prior to getting into a full project contract.
Perfect. I just want to get a clear understanding. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Dean?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question about, I guess, let's put it like longevity. So what happens if somebody, is the debt that's going to be accumulated on the property, or are the property owners the ones who are going to be under obligation? And I'm thinking if somebody sells their property, who has the debt after that?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the debt is tied to the property itself.
Okay.
So once all the costs are prepared, we adopt the bylaw, we are ready to impose those charges, we register liens on the properties. So the debt is tied to the property itself and not the owners.
Thank you.
Okay. Dave, are you good out there? Can you hear us? Do you have any questions? Are you good?
I can follow, but it's very hard to hear.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or? Okay, seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Randy, seconded by Councillor Dean.
It is duly moved and seconded, whereas the municipality of French River has numerous private and seasonal roads that were originally intended for summer cottage use, and whereas the construction of permanent residences on these roads has increased and residents on these private and seasonal roads are requesting services for the maintenance of these roads, and whereas the official plan, Ontario Regulation 58606, and municipal policy provides that the municipality and residents may use local improvement charges as a means to finance the upgrading of private and seasonal roads to municipal highways. And whereas the clerk of the municipality has received a petition requesting the upgrade of the private portion of Lafreniere Road, consisting of approximately 4.5 kilometers of road. Therefore, be it resolved that council hereby deems the petition as received by the municipality on October 20th, 2021, and that once its sufficiency is determined and certified by the clerk, that a local improvement charges bylaw be prepared to authorize and undertake the necessary improvements to the private portion of Lafreniere Road as a local improvement be presented to council for consideration.
Are we all in favor? Okay, thank you. We'll continue on. 7, reports and items for consideration. 7.1, the quarterly report, the clerk's department. Mel will speak to this, our clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not, other than if there's any questions, I'm the only section that I wish to highlight for council is the update of our procedure for our council meetings. Just going to pull it up. I'm just going to review if there's anything else. Okay, I will touch on something else after. So the only changes are that council is now in council chambers, but is not open to the public at this point, just because of capacity issues in our council chamber and the requirements of COVID protocols. So for the time being, we have council at the council table and through Zoom. We're still in the midst of having the proper equipment to be able to, so as you see right now, we're still, our equipment is not perfect. We're still looking into further equipment to be able to allow for council to broadcast live through our equipment that we've purchased in our council chamber, along with allowing council members or participants as delegations or staff to participate through Zoom also in an easier and a little more less stressful platform. So that are the major updates of this policy. If there's any questions from anybody.
Okay, Councillor Randy?
Through you, Madam Chair, you mentioned that we need an upgrade to the system you've already purchased?
Well, it's not really yeah, I said upgrade. It's more something because we thought, we kind of were expecting that once we were back in council, that we wouldn't have as much restrictions to allow the public or to be able to allow everybody to participate at the same time. So we don't have the proper equipment to be able to broadcast like we are and having our Zoom. So you see, we've had, the other meeting we had, like another camera that we had to add, and now we have this equipment that we're adding. So we're kind of using 2 systems in one, which is not the best. So the other equipment, we're still working with the company to see on options to be able to broadcast our meetings a little more streamlined.
That company came in and gave us an RFP or a request based on the building facility?
Yes, but the requirements back then, we did not know that we would have to, or that we would be in a position where we needed to broadcast from Zoom and live. So we didn't.
If I may, Melanie, jump in, Madam Chair, is the interface with the Zoom is what's creating our issue. And we didn't foresee that when we put out the request for tender. So now we're looking at a piece of equipment to be able to interface the Zoom like we're trying to do this evening as we're trying to MacGyver it to make it more professional and easier to understand for the people on the Zoom links because I'm getting messages that they're having a little bit of a hard time hearing council. So when you're speaking, just maybe speak a little bit louder. So shouldn't be more expensive. There'll be a cost associated to it, and at the same time, we'll ask the supplier to come in and retweak the system on a couple other issues.
Thank you, Randy. So one other thing that I would like to mention or to report on is following council's approval of the zoning bylaw amendment for the changes pertaining to to the park model definition and our proposed travel trailer licensing bylaw. We received 2 appeals. And I am in the process of submitting those appeals in the package that the Ontario Land Tribunal requires. So my deadline to do this is next Tuesday, but it will be Friday because we need to send it by courier. So following that, then I will keep council updated on any development or the process. So at this point, our zoning bylaw amendment and our travel trailer license bylaw is just sitting aside until this appeal is over.
Okay, thank you, Mel. Does anybody have any more questions? Seeing none, we're gonna keep going. So I have 7.1.2, a resolution to approve the attendees at the ROMA Virtual Conference being held January 23rd, 25th, 2022. I don't believe anybody is wanting to attend the virtual conference, but is anybody interested in attending? Randy? Okay, Mel, we have Randy. Is anybody else interested? It is virtual, eh? Okay. So I think Randy will be, unless Counselor Richard, which isn't here tonight, so maybe we could reach out to him to see if he's interested in attending and he could get back to you, Mel?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So,
So I do have a motion.
okay, so a mover and a seconder? No?
Yes.
Mayor Giselle and Bob?
So duly moved and seconded, be it resolved that council approves the attendance of the following members of council at the ROMA Virtual Conference being held January 23rd to the 25th, 2022, at a cost of $400 each. So at this point, we have Randy, and then if Richard comes forward, I will add them to this list.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, 7.2, finances. 7.2.1, the quarterly report from the Finance Department. I believe Mark will give the report on the third quarter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your hands, you have the third quarter report alongside the operating budget variance report and also the capital budget variance report. For the activities, we sent out the final tax billings in July as planned, with payments due dates in August 25th and September 22nd. Second, we also increased tax collection and communication efforts and during 2021, and this resulted in a decrease in total taxes outstanding of about 135,000 if you compare September 30th, 2021 numbers with September 31st, 2020 numbers. The goal here is to, that represents about 11% decrease in taxes outstanding. The goal is to achieve or at least get closer to the ministry benchmark of 10% of taxes outstanding compared to taxes levied. And if you will note, and on December 31st, 2020, our ratio was 12.5. It's still a decrease. We were at 12.6 the previous year, and then we were at 15%, or there's a steady decrease, but now there's a push to get closer to 10%. Also, we received proposals from vendors to improve efficiencies and processes in the department and the municipality. So we're going to tackle the automation of our payroll system or processes, the billing mailing of tax information like tax bills and arrears letters and tax certificates and the like, and also cash receipt processes, online payments from banks. Right now they're manually inputted, and we're trying to get integration into our system to avoid errors. So the goal is to get the solutions implemented before December 31st. So we're on target, and I'm dealing with the vendor as we speak. Also, it's not included in your report, but we received two approvals for grants. It's totaling $70,000 during third quarter for youth internship positions. We have two positions that are funded partially by FedNor and NOHFC for $35,000 each. That's the new bylaw officer position, and also the executive coordinator's position. Also, an item to note is we will issue the RFP for audit services in the following weeks to be ready for the December 31st, 2021 audit. So that's it for activities. If you have any questions for activities, or
Anybody have, Councillor Randy?
yes.
To you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question about the 10% threshold of the province. How many municipalities do we know generally? Are they? I would assume that most are behind on that 10% level, so this isn't a unique problem to us, correct?
You're right. The area municipalities were the lower threshold. It doesn't take much because our taxes, total taxes are not that high. So just have one bad account and you increase your ratio. But we're holding our own. And if we get close to the 10%, then we're and the 10% is to be low risk. Right now we're medium risk. So we're still we're not high risk.
And I would just assume that because of COVID, we put a deferral that probably not everybody's caught up, correct?
Yeah, but we're making good inroads.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Mark? Okay, seeing none.
Do you want to go through the operating budget and the capital budget, or?
Does anybody want to
Yes.
go through it? Have any questions? Seeing none? No, I think we're good. We have a detailed budget presentation from you. It outlines, he's got comments on all the projects that have been completed and the ones that haven't, and even a few that are not going to be done, I've noticed. So
Yes, for capital, you're talking about the capital budget?
the capital, yeah.
Yes, a few projects were not moving forward. For the completed projects, we're about $61,000 below budget. Mainly for roads, we went out to tender and we had a better bid than budget. So I think we're in good shape for the capital budget.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Councillor Randy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to say to Mark, and just for the public's sake, we've all reviewed the budget numbers, but just to confirm to the public that we're on track.
Yes, we're on track. This for the operating budget, even though the fuel prices are about 50% higher than previous year, and we have some the public works budget is tight. We're still on track to achieve budget.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Now I lost my agenda. I found it. So we'll continue on with 7.3, Public Works and Environmental Services. 7.3.1, the quarterly report by Kevin Benvenuti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight I'm going to run through the third quarter report for environmental services. First, we're going to start off looking at some of the stats. You'll see time spent removing bulk waste from transfer sites. That it was much higher. That's just due to students and the summer months being busier. So you'll see it jumped up quite a bit. The same thing happens in previous years. Other than that, our contaminated materials at our facility are still about 40%. The highlights for the quarter, we held fall hazardous waste event, September 18th. Total hazardous waste diverted from improper dumping and sent to the MOE licensed facility was 13,700 liters and 720 kilograms propane tanks and batteries. Environmental Advisory Committee was held on September 23rd. The Woolsey Bay Highway 528 waste transfer site closed on September 7th. Public Works waste transfer site with the modified hours commenced the second week of September. And EXB has started doing our well monitoring and are still in the process of updating the environmental assessment. I'm told hopefully next week we'll have that back. And I know it's not in here, but I know some of you are interested in some of the ticket stats for the Bylaw department, so I'm just going to go ahead and say we have so far issued 39 Part 1 tickets since August 19th. 25 tickets were issued for non-residents using the facilities. 7 offenses were for leaving waste outside of the bins, and 5 offenses for bulky items, or large material. And that's it for this report.
Does anybody have a question? Councillor Randy?
To you, Madam Chair. Kevin, I've noticed this weekend past that the Alban bin sites were quite overrun. I know that we've reduced our pickup times on the weekends. That was a summer thing where we do weekend pickups. But yet it seems that maybe the citizenry hasn't migrated south as quickly as we've expected. Is there any benefit to maybe for the short term continuing that, Mark?
Through you, Madam Chair, we had an event over the last week of both trucks being down as of Friday afternoon, so that's what contributed to the issue at the Alban site being a little bit worse than usual. Commend Public Works, who went out with the 2-ton truck twice on Monday to try to clean up as best as they could. We did additional hours to get the secondary truck fixed and was back on the road Tuesday morning to get caught up with everything. So that's been done. Our main truck is still in Toronto and should be back in our possession and back in service hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you. That answers the question, because I was wondering if it was just a lack of, if we needed the additional because it looked like it was overflow, but the equipment breakdown explains that, so thank you.
Chances of both trucks being down at the same time, it was the perfect storm, so.
Okay, does anybody else have questions? I may have one or two. What's well monitoring? What well are we monitoring?
Through you, Madam Chair. And it's just the surface wells around the landfill sites. We have them all over. They come and test them to make sure there's no leaking around the site.
Okay. And I guess for the recycling, I guess we'll probably see hopefully a better, less contamination in the next quarter, because we just kind of closed off the other sites mid-September, right? Which was in the third quarter. So I guess this next quarter we will really see if some of the work is going to be, if it's working or not, I should say. Put it that way. Am I correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, I hope so, but we really won't be able to see any of the stats for a year until we can see a full year, and then we'll be able to see, we'll look back like this month last year, you know what I mean? So until then, we should be able to see it. I'm hoping we do. I hope it's drastic, but we really won't have the proper stats for a year.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Councillor Dean has a question for you.
Are we moving ahead at all on the pickup of our recyclables in the two sort of urban areas? Is that what's happening there? Are we tenders out or?
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe Mark F. is just finishing up going through the RFP. It should be, I hope, the end of this week, if not early next week. So it should be coming to council in November.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I think we were going to continue on to 7.3.2, Quarterly Reports, Public Works. And I believe Bob will give us the report on this.
Yes, good evening. You have the report in front of you. Some of the key highlights for the last quarter were the Capital Road rehabilitation. The surface treated were completed on all the roads that were planned. The Capital Road on Prévost is not quite done. It should be done by the end of October. The Public Works Advisory Committee met September 29th. The contract was awarded for the Public Works retrofit of the building. That should be starting this week. The VAA trail was complete. And as mentioned, our garbage truck is still in Toronto, awaiting repairs. The part came in on Monday. They were expecting it to put it on today, and we should receive it by Friday.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Does anybody have any questions for Bob? Councillor Randy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question about the Rapids and the hockey with the COVID passports. Do we, as the municipality, responsible for checking that every person coming in has the COVID passport, or is that fall on the
That falls
people
on-
renting in the hall?
That falls on the renters.
And so do we have any way of auditing that they're compliant, or do we know that they're following?
We do keep a staff in the general area to check on them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
They also have to sign a contact tracing book when you come in the building.
Okay.
So just, Randy, to answer, just, yeah, like Bob said, everybody signs the book when they come in, and then from there, everybody's had to send their proof of vaccination. And so when they come in, they check off the list before they're allowed to keep going on to the next process. So it's pretty well made. Good protocol. And I think the other events that'll be starting up pretty soon will have their own policies and procedures in place also. Okay, so I guess we'll continue on if the, oh, Mark?
Yeah,
you'd like to speak?
just for council's information, we had an event over the weekend of a beaver dam breaking on Lafreniere Road. Public Works was out there on Saturday and Sunday, completed repairs on Monday, but there's going to be a significant cost to having done that. It's about 50 feet deep, Bob.
Yeah.
And we had to replace the culverts, 60 feet of culverts in length. So just wanted to bring council up to date on that.
Can I assume we can take some of that out of our reserve fund?
Did I hit the panic button? No. I just thought it was appropriate for council to be aware, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
And I was
Councillor
going to say,
Randy?
even with extensive beaver remediation, it looks like too, eh? And that one was missed, or?
Not that it was missed, it's just as the information that comes to me from the staff is that the beavers are extremely active, even with the very strong, I'm trying to find my words here. We're being aggressive in controlling the beavers, but they're being extremely aggressive back. How's that?
Okay, we'll continue on to 7.4, Recreation and Community Services. 7.4.1, Quarterly Report, Parks, Rec, and Facilities Department. Again, Bob will speak to us about this.
So again, you have the report. If you have questions, some of the key highlights, the last quarter, well, all our facilities that need to be winterized have been winterized. The Albany Community Center will be starting COVID protocol with COVID protocol restrictions. We'll be using the halls shortly for events. The capital project at the arena was completed, which was the ice plant header. And for your information, the free rentals at the Albany Community Center during all the quarters were all for the vaccination clinics.
Does anybody have any questions for Bob? Okay, seeing none, we'll continue on to 7.4.2, the adoption of the accessibility plan. And I believe Bob will speak to this again.
Yeah, this is something we have to update every year with the changes that we've made during the year. So we've added the trail, the VAA trail, and for the Albany Community Center, it's included in the appendix if you want. The bathroom will be upgraded with automatic doors with the project that we're ensuing at the Albany Community Center.
Okay, I believe Councillor Randy has the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the chair currently of the Sudbury East Municipal Accessibility Committee, which hasn't really officially sat due to COVID, although it does have a sitting chair, this project should have this should have come through perhaps myself to be I feel discussed as we move forward through this plan. Obviously, the committee does exist to look at barriers, identifying them as you have here, and to talk about next steps and what's best for the community through this committee. I would like to know what because you've identified some barriers here and plans, but no timelines attached to them. And can we come back to the SEMA committee get them in and moving now, and then come back with this to that committee before we pass it here. Although it's time sensitive, we should be bringing this forth to the committee. That was the reason the committee was formed.
Councillor, Mayor Giselle.
I wear many hats. The summit committee is not, it's an advisory committee. So I think even if we pass it tonight, it has budgetary attachments to it to make some of the recommendations. So there's still time for the accessibility committee. Even if we pass it, we know what needs to be done, and if you feel that there's still something else that needs to be added, budget process starts next couple months, so that you still have that timeline. The committee, I don't think you've met, right?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay,
we
so-
were sidelined by COVID.
Yeah.
But there was an assigned chair, so the committee exists.
Yeah, so perhaps the idea, so did the other municipalities assign somebody yet? Okay, so perhaps, and you're the chair, right? So my advice to you is to perhaps contact the other three municipalities and get that committee going, because if it's non-functional, then I don't see delaying anything here. You still have a crack at it through the budgetary process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I believe I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bob and Councillor Dean.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that Council adopts the 2021 Accessibility Plan as dated October 20th, 2021.
All in favor? Okay, we are good. So we have 7.5, Emergency and Protection Services, the quarterly report, and our Fire Chief Rock will give us our report on this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to touch on the key highlights for the fire department. Emergency types that we responded were in a total of 20. Our biggest jump was our medical assist calls, which we're starting to get back into it. So that went up a bit. Burning permits, we sold 18. Inspection and public education was 7. We had the daycare here in Nuevo attend our fire hall visits. We had 2 of those. Training sessions, we had 11. Average per firefighter that responded during hours. We had 5 during midnight to 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to 4 was 5, and in the afternoon from 4 to midnight was an average of 10. Percentage is we only had 1 call at night was 5%, and from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. was 40% of our calls, and 4 p.m. to midnight was 55% of our calls. Equipment checks, so we had 8 done total. No agreements, no recruitment or retention. A bit of update on the fire department. Firefighters began their emergency first responder course and will continue in the 4th quarter. This is the higher level than CPR, level C. So this is to better have our firefighters trained and prepared when responding to medical calls. We also had the fire safety grant report is completed, and the final report was submitted to the OFM. With that fire safety grant, we purchased 2 new computers for both stations, 6 tablets for each trucks, and online training. Also, the fire department has moved to a cloud-based reporting system with the 6 tablets, so our equipment checks, our incidents, our training, everything is done on the cloud, on the tablets, even on scene. We could take pictures, and it's all loaded up right away instead of always going back at the station, staying a couple hours. Our annual pump test and ladder testing are completed. All our ladders passed. Pump 1 has passed. Pump 2 fail, and tanker 1 fail. Their vacuum test, which was their last test that they performed. that was expected from those two vehicles. Tanker 1 will be out of service for about a week. It's going down for pumps repair in St. Jacobs. I will be making arrangements with our neighboring fire departments for tankers if there's any structure fires. Any questions?
No? No? Okay, seeing none. I don't think we have any questions for you, Rak. Good job to you guys, I guess. Pardon me?
I was just going to give somebody else a chance.
Okay. Okay, so I believe we'll continue 7.6, building planning and development. We don't have a report, but I think everybody has seen the amount of houses that have been built in the area, and so we know there's a lot going on, so they've been busy, even though we don't have a report. And I believe I'm gonna move it back over to Mayor Pajot.
Oh, I was just letting you have some fun over there. All right. There's no correspondence that came in. Consent agenda. So I need a resolution to adopt the items contained in the consent agenda. Moved by Randy and Bob. Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Notice of motion. There are no notice of motions. Announcement and inquiries. I'll just start tonight for a switch. Because one of the things that's happening is the Albin Seniors Club is starting their luncheons again, and they are very, very excited about doing this. Part of the problem is that they cannot hold it in their hall that they have over at Univ because of the requirements of the government for size. So they had asked me to ask council if you wouldn't mind if, in an effort to help them until they can get back into their hall, that they could use the ACC. I know they want to start on the 29th, and Bob, you said it was available on the 29th. I don't know how long it's going to be. I hear Mr. Ford is going to be perhaps lifting restrictions on numbers sooner than later. So for the 29th for sure, and perhaps a few more weeks until the restrictions are lifted. So we just want to have a look around. Anybody object to that? No? Okay, good. The other thing, the edible forest on a rainy Saturday, rainy Saturday, went very well. There were over 30 volunteers. I was amazed at the amount of people. And what amazed me the most is there were a lot of young people. And those of us that were older really appreciated the younger people hauling the big, heavy, wet bins of sand. So they didn't get a chance to finish because the weather refused to cooperate until we left. And so they'll be finishing off this Saturday, rain or shine, I guess. There's just a little bit more work to do. So if anybody's available, they would love to see you. And aside from that, that's all I have. So I will go to that end. Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to thank the Chair of Recreation to jumping in and making our Santa Claus parade a go, November 27th. Joelle is working beyond their borders, and it's going to be a go, and we'll have more information. And merci, René. That's it.
I wasn't going to add anything. I didn't have anything to say, but hearing that the Santa Claus parade's a go, then I think I'll bring it up at the next Lions Club meeting, that perhaps we should be able to try and put together a float then. No, I'm being told no? No, you don't want my float?
Yes, a float, yes.
Oh, okay.
But just to mention, we did talk about it, and there was a few concerns that Joelle had, and the one was no kids party afterwards. We'll strictly have the parade, but there will not be a gathering afterwards because of all the restrictions. But if you want to put a float, the more float, the better.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay.
And if I may add, there will be a kids' party next year.
Mr. Dean?
Really don't have anything to report or talk about. I guess it just seems it's hard to get connected to anything these days. We just, when it comes to local news, without a newspaper or anything, nothing gets known what's happening in the community, which is kind of a shame. I did hear from Ron about the seniors lunch on the 29th, and I think that's great that they're able now to use the community center. But no, I don't have anything else, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
And way in Technoland, Mr. Dave.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to announce today. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, for council?
Not much. Like Bob said, thanks to Bob and Joelle and for all their push, and we'll have a Santa Claus parade. And I think the work at the Edible Forest was amazing. I wasn't able to be there, but perhaps this Saturday I will be. The Rapids have a game on Friday night at the arena, though they've been playing pretty good. They have a good little team. Our little locals are doing amazing. I believe Dominique Godin is one of the top scorers on the team right now, and he's, one of the youngest, so that's really, really good news. So if you guys want to go out, I believe puck drops at 7 o'clock, and you, like I said, you got to have proof of vaccinations in order to enter, but I mean, once you're in, it works out good. I mean, so there's that, and besides that, not much.
Thank you. Mark, do you have anything? No? Any member of staff have any announcements? Seeing none, then there is no closed session tonight. And so I will move a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw, moved by Randy and Dave. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. You're okay? All those in favor? Thank you. I need a resolution to adjourn, moved by Renee and Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a very safe weekend, and we'll see you in Albin on Saturday to finish off that project.